I couldn't believe that you can have a piece of your intestine out on the outside of your body, come through your stomach wall and be on the outside of your body and be alive. I was like, surely that's not possible. But here I am, living proof that that is how incredible the body is and how resilient it is.
So, Adele, welcome to Audible. We're here to chat about your brand new book, Personal Best. It's a wonderful, uplifting journey through some really not uplifting experiences, but you somehow managed to make it positive and joyous.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said that, because I hoped it had, we talk about tough times, but I hope it had something to look forward to.
Definitely. One of my favourite things about this whole book is you naming things. So how did you come to call your cancerous tumour Unreal?
I forgot about that naming ceremony. Yeah, when I realised I had a big tumour, I decided to name it after a moon of Uranus, the planet. Silly joke. School level joke. But it's because at the time I was trying to find anything I could do to cope. And I think the way I cope with a lot of things is humour. And I just so happened to be practising for Celebrity Mastermind at the time, because that's what life is like. You get a cancer diagnosis, but then you have to go on Mastermind. And I thought, like, how can I fuse the two?
Yeah.
There you go.
I just have to ask very quickly, on Celebrity Mastermind, do they give you a topic?
That's a great question. No, so they say what sort of things you're interested in.
Okay.
And you give them a little list, and they vetoed everything apart from the planets and the solar system. Okay. So that's the one I ended up with.
What would have been your preference, do you reckon?
I wanted to do the Olympics.
Nice.
Yeah, I wanted to do the 2012 Olympics. And yeah, there was a few other ones as well. I love sport. I love watching sport.
Yeah.
So
back to that diagnosis. In the early stages, I haven't experienced it myself, but I know from family and friends that there's this horrible moment where you know that you have cancer, but you know very little else, and there's so much uncertainty. So how did you deal with that time when you had the diagnosis, but pretty much no other information?
Yeah, well said. It's a lot to take in, and you don't always know when you get diagnosed that somebody's going to say those words to you. So there's the bit in the book where I explain that Kate and I, my partner, just went into a room one day, sat on some lovely chairs, and my whole world got turned around in a second. My whole life changed. When I first got diagnosed, when I heard the words, "You have cancer," I literally thought I was going to die because I didn't know enough about cancer. And I think the way that it was portrayed in the media, it made me feel like, that's it, it's over. So I asked the doctor, am I going to die? Luckily, he said he felt he could help me. And then the second question was, is it my fault? Because again, I didn't know enough about cancer and I thought I'd done it to myself. And then after that, he explained a little bit about the operation, that I might get a stoma, but I wasn't really concentrating on that. I just wanted to know, really, would I survive it? And unfortunately, they only knew I had cancer. They just didn't know how advanced it was. So I remember him saying something about stage 2, but again, I didn't really know what that meant. And he said it might be stage 3. So there was this week where, while I was waiting to find out the results, where only me, Mr. Barn, the consultant, and my girlfriend Kate knew I had cancer and the whole world didn't. And it's really strange how the world just carries on. So you've changed forever inside fundamentally, but you go back out of the hospital, back into the real world, and everybody's just getting on with their lives. And it's just this strange sort of purgatory that you're in for a week where you don't know if you're going to live or die. And all your senses are just going crazy. And you just try and wake up every day and get to the next day, really.
Did you stay off Google or did you go on Google?
I stayed off Google. Kate was straight on Google, which is good. So I think that's something that helped me, having a Google buddy.
Yeah.
So Kate found out as much as she could about bowel cancer. Luckily, she'd remembered a lot of what the consultant had said to me, because
you need that other person there.
Without a doubt, yeah. And luckily, she was in the room, because they didn't tell me to bring anyone. It's just luckily she was with me. And she was listening while I wasn't really. I think I was just, trying to take it all in. So she Googled bowel cancer, she Googled what stage 2 meant, what stage 3 meant, and she also Googled what stomas were, just in case I needed one. So they said I might need a stoma, they weren't quite sure, but at that point I was like, I don't care, as long as I live, give me what you need to, you know.
Yeah. And what was it like when you did come to tell your family?
That was the hardest bit for me, not finding out I had cancer, but having to tell my mum. That broke my heart. That was a really hard one, and thank God Kate was in the room, because I didn't have to tell Kate. I hope I don't offend my dad by saying it was a bit easier to tell my dad, but I feel like my dad's the sort of person that would just be able to take it. But telling my mum, that really hurt me. And I was like very sort of angry with cancer for making me have to do that to her.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely understand that.
Yeah.
We'll go to something lighter.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to go to more naming of things. Why did you, when you found out you'd been through the operation, you found out you had got a stoma, why Audrey? Who is Audrey?
So Audrey's here in the room. She's hidden at the moment. She's my little stoma. She's around about here. When I was first told I might get a stoma, one of the nurses said to me, a good thing to do is to name it. So when I actually got one, I thought, right, what name can I give to my stoma? Is it going to be a boy? Is it going to be a girl? And when I first saw it, it reminded me of the plant off Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, the Venus flytrap plant that's called Audrey 2. So her official name is Audrey 2, but that's a bit weird, so I just call her Audrey for short.
Do you know, when I told my husband that Audrey because he absolutely loves Shop of Horrors, he was like, what number Audrey? Audrey 2? I was like, I don't know, I can't confirm, so now I can confirm.
Yeah, let him know, Audrey 2.
And what was the most unexpected or surprising thing for you about Audrey?
Do you know, first of all, that it's possible. I couldn't believe that you can have a piece of your intestine out on the outside of your body, come through your stomach wall and be on the outside of your body and be alive. I was like, surely that's not possible. But here I am, living proof that is how incredible the body is and how resilient it is. That for now, this is how I go to the toilet. And then the other thing, Audrey moves on her own. So she's very independent to me. So even if I touch it, I can't feel it. Because it's a different part of the body. I think it's the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's the bit of your body that works away without you knowing about it. So your heart and your digestion.
Yeah.
And so if you could see her now, you'd see her moving. And it's weird. And I really feel like gut reaction's real as well. So because we're having a nice chat, she'd be dancing merrily right now. She'll be in there dancing. I just can't feel it.
And you write that you've also, as much as you love Audrey, had some Audrey disasters. So tell me about the worst Audrey disaster.
Oh my gosh. Do you know, I don't even think the worst Audrey disasters in the book because it got cut out. It was that bad.
Oh, now I'm curious.
But hopefully, I think if we do the paperback, it might be in there. If it's allowed past
the thing to look forward to.
But I think we just didn't want to scare people because I've had some time to get my head around it. And we hope that some people that maybe are getting stomas or worried about getting a stoma will be able to read the book and understand, yes, they're not perfect, but they're life-saving and they can help change your life. But one of the worst ones maybe was when I was listening to Scott Mills's last show on Radio 1, I think, and my stoma decided to go ballistic and do what's called a prolapse. So essentially my stoma went from the size of like a baby carrot to there on my knee, so right down my leg. So that's how much intestine's inside your body and it can unravel and come out the front. So me and Kate had to work out how to get it back in. Or go to hospital, basically.
And you did work out a method, which has absolutely blown my mind. What worked was putting sugar on it.
I know. Can you believe that?
I genuinely can't.
I so can. Google was our friend. And please, if you're watching this, don't do this. Call your stoma nurse. It was very naughty of us to do it, but I was panicking because I also had a radio show to do that night on Radio 2. I was about to make my debut. I was really worried that I wouldn't be able to do it. So Kate got 1 kilogram of sugar. This is what me and Kate get up to in our bedroom. Put me on the bed, lay me down, and put 1 kilogram of sugar on my stoma. And I don't know whether it's magic or osmosis, but it started to go back in my body.
It's crazy.
Honestly, it took about an hour, and we filmed it. And again, that video's been banned, but and the pictures of it as well. But you never know. Paperback, maybe.
That's just incredible. The body is incredible.
It really is, yeah. Resilient.
Yeah. And how has Audrey and having a stoma and also going through cancer changed how you feel about your body?
It's helped me appreciate my body and fall in love with my body. I had a very bad relationship with it. I'm ashamed to say before cancer, this keeps me alive. I wouldn't be here without it. I'm privileged to have a body that works. I talk a lot about my mum and she has a condition, or she did have a condition, sadly, she passed away, that affects her body and slowly ate away at her body, and she lost control of her body. And here's me. Yes, I might have had cancer. I might have a stoma, but I can still move about. I can go to the shops if I want to. I can still walk around. And my mum couldn't do that. And also I had people that could help me. Her condition, there's nothing you can do about it. It's called ataxia and there's no cure. And so, yeah, having cancer and having a stoma has given me so much gratitude.
And with Audrey, you took Audrey on a journey to run the London Marathon, which not only did you have Audrey, you also had just been going through chemo. You were still on chemo when you started to, train. And I think about running and I think, a slight blister's forming. Same for me. You ran through all of that. So what mental resilience did you have to A, set yourself such a big target, and B, to run through all of that pain, that discomfort, that uncertainty?
Yeah, that's something I've worked on, my mentality. I've got it so wrong a lot of times in my life. I talk about losing my auntie. It sent me into a very deep depression. Grief was very hard for me to deal with because in my family we didn't really talk about our feelings when I was younger. And I got it very wrong that time. And so when cancer came along, I knew not to make that mistake again. And I knew how important and powerful the mind is and the spirit. And I think for me, I've learned that it's a lot of times stronger than the body. Where the mind leads, the body follows. And it's not the other way around. And I think for most of my life, I thought that. And so I wanted to do something every day. Once I'd survived the operation to have the tumour removed, once the cancer was out of my body, I wanted to do a little rebellion every single day to say to cancer, I don't want you back. I don't want you in my body again. And I'm going to fight you with everything I have. And that started with me just getting onto the chair next to my bed and then being able to walk over to the toilet to see my stoma. And then every day since then, I've always made sure that I do at least 20 minutes walking every day. And then eventually the walking led to jogging, shuffling, then jogging. And then I thought, let's just do something that is almost beyond the realms of possibility. Why not try and run the marathon? And it happened. But I think, again, it was the mental strength that I'd managed to build up with everything that I'd gone through and the determination. And I thought, I'm not letting cancer beat me. I don't want it to. And I think it stemmed from me having to tell my family and tell Kate, and the thought of being potentially taken away from them. It just made me want to fight it and never be in that place again.
I would love to give some time to your wonderful mum.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me what she was like.
Oh my gosh. What a beautiful question. Just my everything. And I say in the book, people always ask me about people that I've met, I've been lucky enough to meet through radio. And I have met some incredibly wonderful, famous people, but my mum to me is my hero. I say in the book how I'm her little tribute act, I think. I think I've just spent my whole life trying to impress her and show her how much I love her. She had me when she was very young. She was 16 when she had me. A lot of people tried to get her to give me up or, maybe have me adopted, or just basically she got bad advice and she just never let me go. And I think that she gave me everything she should have had. She's had a very tough life and she just made sure that my life was as good as it could be. And she's the reason I know that no matter what's thrown at you in life, you can get through it. Yeah. She proved that again and again. And even with her condition, even when she was told she had ataxia, she was so strong to the end. And I think spirit-wise as well. So I think I explain in the book, no matter what your body goes through, never let it diminish your spirit. And she never did. She was strong to the end.
Sounds like she made you know that you were loved and wanted from the start.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that's fundamental. There were a lot of people I grew up with on the council estates and they didn't have that. And I just knew how lucky I was. I think that's why I often had gratitude as a kid, because I just knew I was so lucky to have my mum and my dad. We didn't have carpets, we didn't have wallpaper a lot of the time. Our house was an absolute mess, but I had them. And we had each other, me and my brothers and sisters, and that's all you need in life.
Yeah. And you wrote this book with Kate.
Yeah.
So how did that work, writing it together?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this time last year, I didn't know I was going to write the book. Mm-hmm. It took for me to do the marathon to feel like I'd earned the right to write a book, because I know that books are precious, and you've got to have something to say. And there was already brilliant books about cancer. So how could my voice add to that? And so once we'd done the marathon, we thought, well, that's quite a cool story in a weird way, to be able to, within 18 months, complete a marathon. And we hoped that it would be an inspirational story for people. So Kate just sort of like gave me a structure, and she'd say, tell me about this, write about this. And so I'd be there with the notes section on my phone. Like, I wrote the book in the notes app, just like with my thumbs. Just like I'd wake up early in the morning, sometimes with Audrey, if Audrey was being naughty, and just write and try and express myself. And I think it was very cathartic. It probably helped Kate as well, because we'd both been through it together. But we knew that no matter how tough it was writing those words, we were hopefully helping other people.
Definitely. And so how did you find narrating it for the audiobook?
Oh my gosh. I was really nervous about narrating it. And I actually said to them, do you mind if I don't read it?
Really?
Yeah. And they were like, no, you're reading it. I was like, oh. But I just felt like I wouldn't do it justice. So I hope anybody who listens to it thinks I have. I really do. But it was good for me to read it out, because even though there were some bits where I did end up crying, it was very tough. It was also lovely to read out the bits where things went well,
Yeah.
and that made me so happy and just sort of helped me process that 18 months.
Yeah. And there's a lot of kind of positive affirmations or inspirational quotes and things like that in there. So I guess reading those out loud, I mean, you're saying them to yourself, aren't you? You're like reminding yourself of all those things as you go. Yeah,
because I always forget what I read as well. I love reading books, but then I forget the messages quite a lot of the time, because life happens, doesn't it? And you forget. So we wanted to make sure that those bits were easy to find in the book. We wanted to make sure that they stood out. But like you say, reading them back to myself really helped. And especially because I was doing Dancing on Ice at the time. And I was, again, freaking out, doubting myself. And I just kept going back to our book and going, no, you've done it before. You've been through this before. Just looks different this time.
Yeah. What was the Dancing on Ice experience like? Because that was a long time in the works for you. You were almost on a previous series.
Yeah, that's right. And without me getting rejected from Dancing on Ice, I wouldn't have done the marathon and I wouldn't have a book. So that's another message in the book. When you think things are going wrong, maybe they're falling apart so they can fall into place. So I'm a big believer in that. I always feel like you're right where you need to be. It might not be nice. You might not want to tackle what's in front of you, but it's been sent to you, I think, a lot of the time to help you and to help you become a better person. Or that's how I've chosen to see everything. So getting on Dancing on Ice finally, I was saying to Kate the other day, even before I knew the result of Dancing on Ice, even if I knew if it'd be any good, getting to the start line of that show was my prize.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. Like, I'm in awe of anyone on that show. You were great.
Thank you.
And so from what you've said so far and what you've written in the book, I wondered, do you believe in fate?
I do, I never used to. Kate's part of me getting better at self-care and self-awareness and mindfulness, and now I'm saying these words, all me's like rolling my eyes, like whatever. But I do believe in fate. I think things are sent to you to challenge you and to help you to achieve your personal best. I know that sounds cheesy because that's the name of the book, but that is the whole point of the book, I think. Whenever I've looked back over my life, I can promise a lot of the times, with the toughest of times, I've just tried my best. And the reason it's called personal best is because that looks different to everybody. And I really believe that no matter what someone's facing, they have the answers inside. You just got to access them. And as long as you try your personal best, you will get through. I truly believe that.
So there's a playlist in the book, and it's full of tracks that go with different parts of it. Describe the playlist to me, and what is your favourite song on there?
Oh, that is such a tough question. Yeah, we wanted to make sure music was in the book. So every single chapter is a song title. It has a lyric from the song that means something to me. And quite often it's the song I was listening to help me get through life at that point. So that's another way that I cope. I cope with things through laughter and through music. Music just makes me feel incredible. So there's all sorts of songs on there, some for your mums and some for your dads. And then there's some dance music as well, because that's what I absolutely love.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to make sure that if somebody was reading a chapter and they wanted a little rest, they could maybe go and have a listen to the song that is the header of the chapter. And we also wanted to almost bring it to life through music. I feel like music can help colour in certain emotions.
Yeah.
Where sometimes maybe words aren't enough. Yeah. So I just thought if people aren't quite getting the feeling of what I want to say, maybe if they listen to the song, it'll help them. You know,
Yeah.
because I think that's how I express myself actually, through music rather than words.
Mm.
I'm a bit out from my depth with writing, so that's why Kate helped me. I don't feel like a reader, but I do hope that this book helps people who, like me, maybe don't think books are for them. They truly are. It's just maybe they need to be given to us in a way that works for us. So maybe the music will help people also understand the sentiment of the book and help build them up as well.
Yeah. Well, I can assure everyone that it is a brilliant read.
Oh, thank you.
And it's, you know, from start to finish, it's really engaging.
Thank you very much, Holly. And was the music okay? Were
Yeah.
there some bangers on there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there were.
wicked.
Well, Adele, it's been such a pleasure to chat. Thank you
too.
so much.
Thank you for having me.